Hey guys, so I'm just gonna walk through how I make my own leather passport wallet. Obviously, there's many ways to do this, and this is just how I do it. So let's get started. So obviously, first I want to take a measurement of the passport sizes. So as you can see, it's like 9 centimeters approximately, just to give a bit of space. So I usually take a bit more just to make sure I don't get it wrong. Um, and the length here is about 12.5 centimeters. So I'm just gonna take that, and now I'm going to move into how I design this. There's obviously many ways to do this, so I'm just gonna do this on my iPad. I'm just drawing what the rough measurements look like. So right now, just a diagram. And from our measurements, we know that the width is about 9 centimeters, so that's 90 millimeters in width of the passport. And obviously the length is about 12, sorry, that's 12 and a half, so about 125 millimeters in length. This should be the dimension of the passport itself. And obviously when you're making a wallet, you need to also have some seam allowance just to make sure you have enough material to stitch through. So I'm just going to add a seam allowance here. So the dotted lines is just going to represent the additional leather that you need. I typically take about 5 millimeters extra. That would also give me just about nice in terms of the seam material. So I'm just going to add that. You have to do this across both sides, lengthwise and width, because you want to make sure you have the spaces across um, surrounding the wallet itself. So I'm just going to add 5 millimeters at the top and 5 millimeters at the bottom. That way we know that we have to add another 10 millimeters to the actual height of the wallet, so it's going to be 135 millimeters, and that should give us one side of it. But obviously you need two sides to the wallet so that you can close it. What I'm going to do here is just going to draw that. I'm going to duplicate this quickly so that we can graphically look at how the wallet needs to be. So I'm just gonna try to draw another one, and that should give us two pieces of the wallet. And obviously when you're doing this, you have to take into account that the wallet needs to be folded, and in order to fold it you need some material in the middle, or some measurement in the middle, and I roughly add about 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters to allow the passport wallet to fold, and that should give us a good extra in making sure that it can close very smoothly. So right here I'm just putting down the measurements, because you obviously will need to add all the dimensions together when you want to cut out um, the leather. So it's 95 millimeters each on both sides, and a 20 millimeter extra in the middle to accommodate the fold that needs to happen, and 135 millimeters in length. So there's a few pieces that comes together when you create this wallet. So you'll need one large piece for the back cover. So we're going to add 95 plus 20 plus another 95, and that should give you roughly about 210 millimeters or 21 centimeters in terms of the length, and that should be one of the pieces needed. I'll draw out the pieces that we'll need later, So I'm just going to put it here, and let me see quickly. Just going to add some colors here, and I want to add a pocket to store my cards. So I'm just going to create a pocket, and typically it would can sit either side of the wallet, either on the left or the right. So I'm just for putting it here, and I'm drawing the stitch line that goes down the middle. So it's just two card slots that I've put in here. It's meant for our beginners. I'm not going to make it too complicated. And in terms of the size, I want this to be slightly smaller than the actual pocket. So I'm just gonna make sure that we have a bit of a gap between the actual pocket and the card slot. So typically I would take 10 millimeters off and make it a bit smaller in terms of the width. So it's going to be 85 millimeters in width, and obviously the length will not change. That will be 135 as well, just to make sure all the sides are of the same length. So it's 135 here, and just gonna quickly zoom out so we can see. And as you can see, it's starting to come together. So now I'm just going to create a rough representation of the pieces that we'll need. So this will be the outer shell. So that's gonna be 210 millimeters. So I'm just gonna draw that. Oops, undo that. Okay, 210 millimeters, and the height is 135. That's piece number one that you need to cut out. The second one is gonna be this pockets. So I'm just gonna duplicate that. So obviously you'll need two pockets here, so that you have one on each side, and another one for the card slots. So that's gonna be, just putting number 3 here, but that's your fourth piece, to be honest. So that's number 3. So you know there's 3 sections in total, and over here it's 95, and the other side also is 95, and we know the length is 135 across all pieces. So 135 mm, and the card slot will be 85, so that's 10 millimeters smaller and 135 in length. Alright, so now this gives us an understanding of the pieces that's required to all come together. So I'm just going to put this all together so that we can have a look how this will look like as an end product. Let me just do this. Alright, I'm just going to use different colors just to make sure that we can differentiate the pieces that comes together in the final product. Otherwise it's not gonna show. Let me just bring this. Okay, this is on the background. Need to bring this to the front. Let me see if I can make this work. Alright, bring to front. There we go. So let's duplicate that. 2 pockets on each side. Then obviously it's going to be where you slot your passport and your boarding pass or cash, up to you. And obviously the card slot can go on either sides, left or right, up to you, whatever that works best. I'm just going to put it over here, and let's zoom out, make sure we have all the pieces that we need. Alright, now we can see it's starting to come together. So just gonna show you what I meant around making sure we have allowance. So when you stitch, you want to make sure you have enough space between the wallet and the seams so that you can easily slide it in and out So the 5 millimeters we added earlier is just gonna go around the perimeter of the leather, and that's gonna make sure that we won't have any issues when we bring all of this together and we stitch it up. And that 5 millimeters is gonna be an addition into the measurements of the passport, and you should be able to slide in and out quite easily. So that's 5 millimeters across both sides, across all four sides of the wallet, and it should look like this. Just gonna also show that you have to add a stitching in the middle for the card. So I typically just do it down in the middle of the material. So it's just take 135 divided by 2. So just put it somewhere in the middle, and I'll just stitch it between the green and the purple piece, and that's it. So this is how it looks like. Hope you found this easy to follow. Consider like and subscribe this video. Should have a lot of fun for beginners. See you again.